Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the Final Fantasy XII Ultima project here, where last time we finally kind of got the hands and the fabric on the front done and in, and since then I've gone to the other side and kind of worked a little bit towards that end, getting some of the fabric down here and the hand on that. And this time we're looking to kind of finish the job. We still have the arm to go up top, and as we can see on here, we still have the arms to kind of put on, so that's going to be our goal today, is to get those guys in. However, one thing I noticed from last time into this one, kind of off camera, was a couple things I said last time probably didn't make a lot of sense to when I was saying the arms were coming down and I need to have a bent wrist, because what you've been looking at has been image here where the arm and wrist are both kind of straight in with each other. And that's because although I've been showing you this 3/4 view kind of on the side here, the one I've kind of been working off of myself is more of a planar view. You can see on this, looking straight ahead, because it's easier to get sizes off of one where you're looking straight at it than one where you're kind of curved in. So what that translates into is whereas you've been looking at this on the side where the arm and the wrist and all that are straight in, on the one that I've kind of been working off of, there is more of the wrist kind of coming down, which is why I moved these arms up in the first place. So if what I said last time didn't make sense, that's kind of why I finally figured that part out. But to be honest, I kind of like this one better, so we're kind of working off that one. I feel like it has a little more character going on there than the first one we've been going off of. So that said, first things first we need to do is we have all this extra wire here on the side that we don't need that. So now that I know that this isn't going in the dress, it's not doing anything else, we can kind of get in, and usually I'll have the wire come down into the base of the hand because the hand is always kind of self-supported by the wire. As you can see in this case, the hand is kind of supported by the dress and the clay itself, so I don't really need to worry about that as much anymore. So I can cut the wire back just a little bit further than I normally would. So we can take the hand off right now. Come on in here. Snip. And as with last time, I'm just going to kind of start with one side, and depending how long, how fast, how quick, however this goes, we can then see if we start the other side on camera or do the other side completely off camera at this point. And on that front, I'm not 100% sure. So I think I could have cut you just a little bit shorter. Let's get that out of here. And let's also just bend the very end of that just a little bit. Okay, let's not mess up the hand too much. We're kind of where we want to be. Kind of want to be something-ish like that. I can play with the fingers and whatnot afterwards, so I'm not super concerned there. What I am more concerned with is, can I give myself a view that you can see what's going on and I can see what's going on? That's the most important part. Alright, so let's get a little bit more clay than that, and we're going to do what we always do when we kind of start with this, is we need to glue a layer of clay down on here, so then we have something to work off of. Okay, so that looks like that's enough. Let's get some of the glue out here. Hey, we actually got the cap on the bottle really quick this time for the first. And I wound up with too much glue on there, so now I have glue all over my fingers. All part of the plan. And we're just going to keep building up to kind of whatever the heck is going on with the top of that gauntlet there. I'm not entirely sure what that whole design is about. It serves absolutely no purpose for the fight itself on the encounter you have with her. It's not like, it almost looks like it's supposed to be a wind kind of element thing maybe coming out of her hands or something, and that's not how her boss fight works. But it has that weird design, so we're just gonna go with that weird design, and we're just not gonna ask about that. Now, as with most time with kind of the forearms and hands, I always feel like this might be a little easier. I always feel like I'm kind of at a slight disadvantage on this one. I feel like I'm a lot better doing legs and kind of torso stuff, and I always feel like I'm very weak at doing kind of arms, and I just kind of keep adding clay until it just feels like it's right. So we're gonna, my game plan on this is I'm just gonna keep adding clay on this until it feels like I'm right. And we're in there. And that does not feel like it's sticking very well. Okay, that's a little better. Just want to really get that in there. What we don't want to see is this thing kind of wobbling back and forth. And already now we have a little something going. So this should go a little quicker than either the Bang or the Kai models, because again, this is roughly half the size. So it should be a little bit nicer, and I thought I put a lot of glue on there, and apparently I didn't. Alright, let's try that. It's best to, if you can feel that the glue isn't really sticking, just don't even work with it. Just cut it off, redo it again. It's not worth the aggravation to try to work around that type of situation. It just isn't. Okay, I think her bicep felt a little bit weak before, so I'm just adding a little bit going up the bicep at this point. Not much. Just to give it a little bit of definition. But otherwise, there's not really a whole lot more mass I need to add to this arm because it's not starting out with much mass on it. And what are we at? We're at 7.5 minutes. And I'm like already going, well, don't need to add that much more clay to that. All right, we in there. I'll take it. That situation doesn't happen very often. Okay. Now, unlike the mid model, which we just saw me do that one relatively recently, we do actually need to show wrists on this. Before he had that cloak on there, kind of covered all of the arms. Nothing had to be really nicely done. This one we do kind of see everything, so. That said, I will be finishing off a number of these details, kind of smoothing things out off camera, because again, if you've seen it before, I am very nearsighted, and I'm working right now with this being probably at minimum 9 inches away from my face, and when I do my final details on this, it's going to be much closer so I can actually see what's going on. Yes, I am wearing glasses, but sometimes you just got to work with what you got to work with, and my body just works a whole lot better when I can see things up close. So if things look really rough or whatnot on camera, that's generally what that comes down to, is just part of doing this on camera does lead to that. Okay, the side of the hand here is very thin, so I'm trying to get a little something on that, if it will let me. Okay, there we go. Yeah, details like having that actually smooth in the end are definitely going to be finished off camera. But as you can see, the wrist on this is definitely very kind of, I don't even know if I can bend my arm the way it does. So we need to have a little bit more, I think, the wrist come forward just a little bit. I'd skinny up the wrist a little bit. Okay, all of this looks bad. It looks like she now has a sleeve on. All right, you can smooth. You can smooth, dude. You got this. Okay, that got slightly better. We're slightly better in there. I'm not going to go ahead and say that's perfect by any stretch, but we're closer. Now, as we can see, as we go up the forearm, the upper part of the forearm does get significantly thicker before we add those, whatever we're going to call it, elements onto it. And it kind of smooths out into a thicker form. It doesn't just start thick. It kind of gradually gets its way there. So just keep adding little bits on here right now until it, once again, until it just kind of feels right. Oh, this is not feeling the easiest situation to work with. Just, I can't quite fit my finger under here nicely to smooth things. And I really, really want to, because it's so much easier smoothing stuff with your finger than not with your finger. You know what, I'm just going to take the head off and remove that right now so it's one less thing in my way. And get my hands around this a little better. And we're going to return that to its rightful place at the end of this session. But for right now, that's not particularly useful. Come on, smooth. I see a bump down there, and it doesn't want to smooth. Okay, are we in there? All right, we're a little more in there. We're a little more in there. Now, I have no idea if I'm going to be speeding through stuff, not speeding through stuff on this. I'm just going to the extent that I can find stuff to say, I can keep kind of talking on this. And now, if we do look at the very far end, if you get past those little kind of 3 divots that stick out, there is a very clear end to this. So, we're going to be adding a piece to that. Now, I know I have the pasta roller, but we can do this kind of the old-fashioned way. This is how I used to do it back before pasta roller times. And it did work out just fine for that. Except I need a bigger piece of clay than this. We don't always need a high-tech solution to every problem here. We can... I've said it before, part of growing older is just knowing there are multiple ways to do something is just like a superpower, and it's awesome. So, yes, I have the pasta roller to do stuff, but at the same time, there are other alternatives we can use. We don't need to use that every single time. And this is actually not going to be super big. That feels like you're a little on the large size. Alright, I'm probably something in or about that kind of width. We want it to be big enough that it's kind of visual, but I think I'm just slightly too wide. Don't need to take much off of this. Okay, I was doing that to re-straighten out the edge. And we did not take much off, but I don't think I needed to take much off. Okay. Yeah, that feels okay. Kind of in proportion to what we need up here, which is also why we ended the arm up here where we did. And as with usual, the goal of this, if we're going to have a seam, is you want the seam to be in the least visible spot. So we're going to stick that on the bottom. My on camera, kind of. Chop that, pull you out. If you haven't having a good time, I think I know which drawing I want to do next, which will probably go out next week. And hopefully next day or two I'll actually get that one done. But I've been listening to the soundtrack from that one, and it's one of those, played the game before, you kind of know it, but you don't really pay attention to the soundtracks when doing those. And every now and again, once you actually do pay attention to it, it's like, oh, that's actually pretty good. I kind of like that on its own. And I don't know if you're enjoying kind of breaking up doing these, because I seem to have been doing, I'll do 3 episodes one week, the next week I do 2 episodes in a drawing, then I do 3 episodes the next, then 2 episodes in a drawing. And I kind of like the breakup on that. I don't know if you do, but I kind of do, because it's a nice kind of mix between taking your time, kind of doing these things slowly and kind of slowly watching a project come out, with kind of every now and then just a dash of, okay, here's just a project from start to finish. Here's a character we're making. Bam, there it is. We got it. And I think it's nice having that little kind of juxtaposition in there. And if you have any strong opinions, you can let me know on that, but I'm kind of enjoying doing it that way. Plus, it kind of breaks up my whole thing, too. It's not just doing one non-stop. It's a nice little reprieve. Okay, my elbow literally hit my laptop and did that. I did not mean to change things on my screen. That's awesome. Plus, if you've never seen any of the games I do characters for, because I seem to be a lot of them are from probably games not many people have seen before, or not many people have, outside of the niche that I'm kind of into, have maybe experienced so much. It kind of brings those to life. And the combination of both the visual and the music stuff is kind of, it gives a little something to it. I like them. The La Mulana one was awesome. I love that one. I just have a real big sweet spot for adventure stuff. And that just kind of hit the, hello camera. Sorry, if I zoom out real far and come back, does that help? Nope. No, it didn't. Alright, well, we're gonna work with what we have here. I'm gonna apologize for this. We may go and zoom by this part. I'm gonna create 3 shapes here. I want these all to be relatively the same size. Hey, we're back in focus. So we want 3 shapes to be relatively the same size here, and we're going to turn those into what I'm just going to call those things, because I can't think of a better phrasing for it other than just, we're going to make those things that go on the gauntlets. And these might be a little big. Actually, I can all but guarantee these are large. How are we doing on time? 20 minutes. Yeah, those are gigantic. We need those things like cut in half. So give me 1 sec off camera. Ba-doop. Okay, so I have this. So what do I want to do? I want to kind of start there, push down just a little bit, and that gives us kind of the main form. I think I'm still twice as big as I need to be. Diameter of the circle is not bad. I think it just, we're not going to call it too dang tall. It's like an official term. All right. We're going to have one up there. That one feels better than the others, better than the first. So I'm just going to get the rough shape on here, then we're going to finish. When I have something solid I can go up against here, I can actually form it to the size or shape it kind of needs to be. It seems like we have something like that, something like that. And of those 3 forms we used, I'm using the clay from literally one of them. And that's it. Okay, one and just a little bit of a partial. That one's a little small. Whether it's the correct size or not, we need all 3 of these to be pretty much the same size. You're still a little small. I swear I'll get this right. Or at least more correct. Okay, there we go. That gives closer to the right size. Now we just need to kind of form this out to be correct. And that's kind of cylinder, kind of, it's slightly actually conical with the top taken off. So that's I'm kind of push in and flatten the top there. And then just try to keep this looking a little cylindrically. And then inside, I can just go and boop, a little bit there, and that gives us that. Okay, so that's one of them. Let's see if we can get number 2. So first we need to kind of blend this into the rest. So I'm just kind of pushing down the side there. Try to keep it as cylindrical as I can. And then, boop, get a little bit of that one in. And number 3. Blend the side, and once more we can do the same kind of thing, except I can't see the underside very well, because A, it's the underside, and B, I have this camera right in front of my face. So we're just gonna improvise a little bit. I'm gonna do what I can see, And then once the camera starts rolling, I may go and get that underside a little more correctly. But once again, we have that. Kind of push it in. Form this up a little bit. And just using the back of this, we get a little boop. All right, so there we go. We have whatever that is going on. We sure have it going on. We do have a little bit of the wrist action going here, which is good. I should have the very end of the wrist be a little thinner. And how are we doing on time? We're 26 minutes uncut. No, we definitely have this going. It's bending up in a slightly weird way. I think I want a little bit off of the top here. Yeah, and here's where we get now the back and forth where I play that in my mind game. Do I want to do all of this on camera? Do I want to do some of this off camera? Because it's going to be a lot of pushing clay around until it actually works. In the past, it would 100% be done on camera. It wouldn't be a choice. It would just be like, I wanted, for like those first couple models, I just wanted to show everything. And I think I'm past that point now where I'm going to show the process behind it. But yes, some detail things can be done outside. We're especially going to see that when we get to the painting side of things. Because for sure some of that painting stuff is going to be done after. There's going to be done not after, but kind of off camera. Because we don't need to show 2 coats of doing everything on here. We can get the basics, but yeah, there's going to be modeling side of things. I feel like slightly less is going to change than on the painting side of things on kind of this and or future projects. It feels like it's really, really thin on this back bottom. And I probably should be cutting away on the video, but I'm not going to because we're kind of at the end of it anyway. So I think we're just gonna go with it for 1 or 2 little kind of pieces here, and then I'm gonna sign off at that point. But at least got what I wanted to. We got an arm that looks like an arm. It's actually doing something, which is good. Even if the gauntlet does look like it's straight out of like a My Hero Academia kind of character. Alright, so I think we're just gonna call ourselves right there. We did good. Half-hour uncut session. We got that in. Got what I wanted to get done, kind of done. And she's now holding up the dress. It looks like she's holding up the dress. Bicep, I might put a little more on the arm up there too, because that's looking a little light compared to the forearm, but that's a minor thing. Otherwise, we got the main part done. Like I said, off camera, we're going to go. I'll do the other side here, and next time I'm looking at just kind of actually doing this for real, getting the fringe around and actually doing a lot of the detail kind of work on here. Ooh, excuse me, for real. And yeah, once we get there, then it's really just the wings and that's it. Otherwise, the clay part is then done. We're just about done with this whole the clay modeling phase of this project. Then we have a lot of painting, but yeah, we're pretty well done with the clay part. Should be good. Then we get to wood. Wood times. What's going to happen to wood is this going to turn out to be even taller. It's going to be sitting way up here height-wise. It's not going to be the ground. It's going to be whoop. This thing is going to get huge, and we're going to have fun trying to fit everything physically on camera with the camera sitting on my desk. But that's it. And until that next time comes, it's like I always say, enjoy.